So this is the second part for the Diehl Transmatic S video. Short after finishing the first video, the machine started to make trouble. Division didn't work anymore with motorized, only with hand cranked, and after multiplication the multiplication register didn't clear anymore correctly, and this made me a lot of headache, and so I had to disassemble the complete machine again and found some bent parts, probably which were bent by a machine jam. Don't know exactly why that happened, but as a result I got a deeper insight in several functions of the machine, and so I finished it now, and what I added is this knob here that was missing, which I found on several photos of other machines. These are my adapters for the 75mm rolls, because originally the machine has a 10 or 100mm roll that doesn't, which are not available anymore. So one thing I wanted to correct from the last video was the question how the remainder is printed correctly, and as the machine did with the last video, it showed a minus sign and was printed in red in addition to the R for the remainder, and I was not sure if that's correct, and it of course isn't correct. In the meantime, I found a manual for the Diehl transmatic. This is the base model, not the S model. This has no S button, and it only has the decimal point shifter, but not the rounding mechanism. And this is not a DM model. This is a bit different, but it's the base model, and of course the correct thing was not the negative sign and printing in red the remainder, but it's an asterisk in addition to the R, and so I will show that. I had to dig into the machine again, and so I searched for the problem and found a bent lever with the symbol printing mechanism which is engaged while division at the right point, and this was not this was bent, and so it did not what it should. So let's say we take 900 and divide it by 0, and so what we can see now is the remainder is 4. It's an asterisk. It's printed in black, and the result is 128. So that for the correction. What I think is very nice with this machine is that when you push a button and something is printed, the paper is pushed downwards for printing and then pushed upwards again, so that you can read it properly. I push a button and you can see it's down and up again, so that it's better readable. This is also a nice feature of this machine. What I think is also quite interesting with this machine is the fixed decimal point you can select, So let's say we have 2 decimal places, and then the machine, if you calculate, this will the result will be in the correct position in relation to the decimal point. So with this machine, if we have 2 decimal point places, and let's say we take 352 and multiply this. So no, it's not 352, it's 3.52. You can see it here. And if I multiply that by 0.5, then I take in 5 and the 0. Leading 0 is not needed. And then I print the result. And you see that it really is the half of 3.52 is 1.76. So this is a thing other machines are not capable of. They would multiply 352 by 5, and you have to think about where the decimal point is to put, or where the correct place is, and this machine is able to do that for you. So, and if we divide 352, and we make a division now, and we divide it by 0.50, so 50, and equals, and now you see it does it the correct place, and it doubled the number. So, and this is a very, very interesting feature of this machine. I think this was the first machine, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this is one of the first machines which were able to do this. So what might be also an interesting question is, what does this machine if you divide by 0? If you see the keyboard, you won't find a stop button. Some other machines which are capable of dividing have a stop button to interrupt accidentally started divisions by 0, which would last forever. Obviously, I think the Olivetti Divisumma blocks zeros, so you cannot enter or push the button if you only the division button if you only pushed zeros in. But this machine you can divide by 0, and so let's try what it does. Let's say we take a number 698, divide it. So here, decimal point is engaged, but there's no problem. And then we push in a 0, and we start the division. And what you see is it prints the 0, which we divided by, and then it works for a while, and then it says F for Fehler or E for error, and it detected that division was not correct. So, and how does this work with this machine? This is quite interesting. There is a counter mechanism inside, which is separate from the normal calculator mechanism, the pinwheel part of the machine, and this always counts with counts every revolution of the pinwheel section of the machine. So, and with a normal calculation, there can be maximum 9 revolutions. Then the machine must shift and calculate or stop calculation. So, and if you divide by 0, there are more revolutions than 9, and this separate counter counts up to 10. And when it's counted up to 10, it starts a mechanism which stops the calculation or the running of the machine, and then suppresses to print out the result, and prints the F instead, and it stops the machine. This is a very clever mechanism to prevent endless loops. So the second thing I wanted to show is the functionality of the S button. So what it does, it automatically can accumulate division or multiplication results to the accumulator which is selected. So a simple example, we take the decimal point at the second position, and we buy 65 pieces of a thing, and since we have the second the decimal point at the second position, we also have to add 2 zeros, and then we see it here, 65 times. And now what does the thing cost? Let's say 89 cents, so we have to put in 89, no leading zero, since this is are the 2 decimals. And what I forgot is to see if the counter is cleared, and yes, it's a 0 in, so it's cleared. So now we can add the we have add the 89. So we press the S button now, and then you will see the 89 is printed, and we have to pay 75 euros and 85 cents. And you can see that this is the result is in the correct decimal places printed, which is a nice feature of this machine. So, and you see here is a plus instead of an asterisk, and you see that is added to the register number 1. So, then let's take a second item, which we buy 185 pieces, adding 2 zeros for the decimals, and multiply this with the price of €1.99, and then we press the S button again. You see the 199, the correct decimal places, and we have to pay 368.15 euros, and this is also stored in the storage register. And then we can take a subtotal, and we can see this is the sum of the 2 multiplications. And yeah, if we want to calculate or add something, a third thing, let's say 159 pieces times, oh, I forgot the I forgot the 2 decimal zeros, so no problem. I can put 159, add the 2 zeros and push the multiplication button again, and then he corrects that. This is quite nice. And then let's say, what does it cost? 59 cents. And we push this button, and this is 93.81 euros. And it's also added, and then we can do the total, which is 519.81. So we accumulated the results with one button instead of taking the equals button and then print it and then add it, push the add button to put it in the accumulator one. Okay, yeah, and I think I showed it in the last video, but here we can see how the rounding works with suppressing 1 or 2 last digits. So if I take decimal place in 4th position and the rounding up to 2, the 2 last decimal places will be wiped, and it's rounded, so we can say 625 and 2 zeros times, or to the square. Then we take this one. So, and what it does, it prints out 39, the result is 390625, and what it does, it wipes out the last 2 places, and since after the 6 is a 2, rounding, well, it's not been round up, it's left, so it's a 6. When I take when I select 3 places shown after the decimal point and repeat that, 625, 2 zeros times itself again. So now you can see it's 1 digit more, and the result is normally 39.0625, and since there is a 5, the mechanism added 5 at this position, and so it was a 10th carry, and this number is suppressed. So, and if I take all the 4 decimal places, it's 625, 2 zeros times and square. So, and now you can see the full number, and so you can see this is rounded up here. And it is rounded in every position when it's put it here. So if I have 3 decimal points, 3 decimal places, I can select 1 or the last one to be wiped. If I have 2, this is blocked, but the last digit, or the first digit, how to say, would always be rounded up. If I do not want that, I take this one further down, so this is not rounded up in case. So, and this position here, the blue one, is for division, where you can take the full number without a decimal point, but you only have to type in, let's say, 9 divided by 7 and then equal, and it automatically calculates the full range of numbers, which is capable of, it's 1.2857142, Yes, and you do not have to put following zeros to the 9, as you have to do with other machines to get more places, decimal places, or the full decimal range of a calculation. So thanks for watching, and I hope you like this machine as I do. I think this was a step forward and made life in the offices easier.